It's musicians who were gone before the fame. Part 2, I'm John Beaudin. This is Rock History Music. You gave us a lot of suggestions, and we're taking those. And please keep giving us suggestions for band members who left bands before they became huge. We start with John Beaudin of Styx. Born October 3rd, 1950, and we lost him February 13th, 1988. He was 37. He was born in Chicago. That's where the band's from. In 1969, Beaudin joined a Chicago band called TW4, consisting of some college friends, Dennis DeYoung, Chuck Pinoza, and his brother John Pinoza. And by 1972, they had changed their name to Styx. John was their guitarist and occasional lead singer on the band's 5 first albums, from 72 to 75. After landing a big record deal for their 5th album, Equinox, in 1975, John quit the band and was replaced by Tommy Shaw, who toured with that record, but actually never played on it. There are a lot of opinions on why John left. Disagreements with lead singer Dennis DeYoung, and not being happy with the record company. That's just 2 of the many. At one point, he had said he wanted to spend more time with his family. 2 years after John's departure, Styx released their 7th LP, The Grand Illusion, to many their biggest album, and they became one of the biggest bands in America. After his tenure with Styx, John became a guitar teacher in Chicago and would sometimes play with local bands. He died on February 13th, 1988, from a brain aneurysm. He had a wife and son. Peter Banks of Yes. Peter William Brockbanks, born July 15th, 1947, and we lost him March 7th, 2013. He was born in London, England. Banks was an original guitarist of the rock band Yes. The original lineup consisted of John Anderson on lead vocals, Tony Kaye keyboards, Chris Squire bass guitar, and Bill Bruford on drums, and of course, Peter Banks guitar and backing vocals. Once they got together, the band members searched for a name to call the band. Anderson suggested Life. Squire proposed World, but it was Banks who came up with the name Yes. Atlantic Records took notice and got the group in the studio in 1969 for the first album, self-titled Yes. Friction came in many forms, and of course, Yes is a band that have changed members tirelessly. Anderson and Squire in the early days wanted orchestration backing the band. Banks did not like that idea. It left Tony Kaye and Peter Banks with not much to do with this orchestra. Ultimately, Banks was asked to leave the band on April 18, 1970. He was replaced by Steve Howe. Banks died of a heart attack on the 7th of March, 2013. He was reportedly found after failing to turn up for a scheduled recording session. He was 65. Signe Anderson of Jefferson Airplane. Born in Seattle, Washington, Signe Tolley Anderson on September 15, 1941. She passed away on January 28, 2016. She was a well-known singer in the San Francisco area, where one of the Airplane's lead singers, Marty Balin, heard her sing and perform. He was so impressed he asked her to join the band Jefferson Airplane. Shortly after joining the group, Signe married Jerry Anderson, a bond that would last from 65 to 74. She sang on the first Jefferson Airplane album, Jefferson Airplane Takes Off. Her husband did not trust the band's management and didn't want her to sign. By 1966, Anderson announced she was quitting the group. She thought of bringing her family on the road with her, but realized quickly that it wasn't going to work. She was a good sport about it, too. She stayed with the band till they found a replacement, and of course, that was Grace Slick. Sherry Snow was offered the gig before Slick, but she declined. Anderson died at her home in Oregon at the age of 74, January 28, 2016, from the effects of chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, COPD. Interestingly, she died on the same day Jefferson Airplane co-founder Paul Kantner died. He was also 74. Dave Evans, the original lead singer of what would become AC/DC. That original band was Dave Evans on lead vocals, Angus Young lead guitar, Malcolm Young rhythm guitar and backing vocals, Larry Van Creet bass and saxophone, and Colin Burgess on drums. By the time High Voltage came out in 1975, Bon Scott had replaced Evans. Evans was with the band from 73 to 74, sang on their debut single. After leaving AC/DC, he was known for the band Rabbit. Also had a solo career, releasing little more than half a dozen albums. The band really took off after Bon Scott became lead singer. But there's another band member who left before at least the big fame of Highway to Hell. Another Evans, Mark Whitmore Evans, who went on after AC/DC to be in the band Rose Tattoo, which didn't have a lot of North American fame, but quite big in Australia. This Evans played on the AC/DC albums TNT, High Voltage, Dirty Deeds Done Dirt Cheap, Let There Be Rock, and 74 Jailbreak. He was sacked from AC/DC in May of 1977 because of musical differences and personality clashes with Angus Young. Deep Purple and Rod Evans. Rod Evans was in Mark I, version 1 of Deep Purple, which featured Evans on lead vocals, Ritchie Blackmore guitar, Nick Semper bass and backing vocals, he could be on this list as well, John Lord keyboards, backing vocals, and Ian Pace drums and percussions. He's featured on the album Inglewood Live in California, and he's on their very first album, Shades of Deep Purple, which featured the hit Hush. The album was released July 17, 1968. He was also featured on their sophomore album, and number 3 was simply titled Deep Purple. Rod Evans was born January 19, 1947. Musical difference was one of the reasons Evans was gone, as well as he wanted to move to the United States. In 1980, he started touring under the name Deep Purple, but of course he was sued by the original band. And as a result of that lawsuit, Evans surrendered his royalties for the first 3 albums. Since then has become somewhat of a recluse, where some early superfans have tried to find him. In a 2015 interview, Captain Beyond drummer Bobby Caldwell said that he was in contact with Evans and he was doing fine. The singer was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame on April 8, 2016, with other members of the band, but of course, he did not attend. The world is filled with band members who were there in the early days because there's usually a lot of lineup changes in the early days to try to find that sound, that quintessential sound that will get you through the door, get you in the room, get you a contract, perhaps a hit, fame, money, then it all goes to crap sometimes. Give us more suggestions. We've got a long list already of band members who were gone before the fame. In looking at AC/DC, of course, some of those members did get a taste of it. Make sure you comment on our video, subscribe to our channel, and share our video. I'm John Beaudin. This is Rock History Music. Take care of yourself.